to my new video. In today's video, we're going to talk about all the stories about Donald Trump's failing trade war. We'll talk about Iran as well, and we'll talk about Turkey's future war with Israel, and we'll talk about that girlfriend of Donald Trump, that Harp girl, whatever her name is. So, without further ado, let's start the show. So this is Donald Trump sending a tweet saying that he's going to reduce the tariffs on beef and he's going to import a lot of beef from an unknown country. And is this Donald Trump's way of saying that he's failed the trade war? Because he's been saying to everyone, all the idiotic MAGA lot, he's been saying to all of them that only countries pay tariffs. So if he puts tariffs on China, China pays the tariffs. Apparently, that's his economic thinking. And any economic guru will know that the tariffs are never paid by the host country, like China or any other country. They're usually paid by the consumers. Because what happens is, if you're buying certain goods from China and America tariffs these goods, the companies that buy from China, they have higher costs because of these tariffs. So they have to pay more. And what do? They add the costs to the product. So at the end of the day, the product gets more expensive. And the people have to pay more. That's how tariffs work. So Trump has been coming on and saying tariff is his favorite word. He's been tariffing the whole world. In fact, he's been tariffing the Americans. And the loony MAGA people are all screaming up and down, thinking he's some sort of god. In God we trust, that's what they say. They're all obviously talking about Donald Trump. This is a cult, guys. This is an absolute cult. So now he's saying that, oh, he's going to reduce the tariffs for beef. So why did he put the tariffs on beefs in the first place if the host country is paying for it? He's admitting that the beef are too expensive. So what he's done now is even worse than tariffs. He's buying cheap beef from somewhere else, nobody knows where. Most likely Argentina, probably. And there are problems with Argentinian beef. China's not buying Argentinian beef because they found some sort of parasite or something. And there's something wrong with these Argentinian beef. So Argentina has got huge amounts of beef trying to sell to the world and nobody's buying them. Well, guess who's buying them? America, for a discount. So these beef are they're gonna be diseased basically. As long as they're cheap, that's all that Donald Trump cares about. They don't care if they're diseased or not. That's why they're cheap. Because no beef around the world is cheap at the moment. No beef. Do you know why? Because the cost of diesel is going up, cost of gas is going up, cost of oil is going up, cost of fertilizer is going up, cost of everything is going up. So you cannot get cheap beef from anywhere. Only cheap beef you can get is from Argentina, which are diseased, which China has rejected. So that's what he's doing now. He's going back on his word. Remember Liberation Day? He said, we're going to tariff the whole world. We're going to tariff China and all these other countries. Slapped all of these tariffs on these countries. And China's the only country that fought back. China's the only country that said, all right, you want to play that game? Let's play. And China started tariffing America back. And Donald Trump, with his ego, he obviously cannot be, outstaged. So he started increasing the tariffs on China. And then China did it back, and it went all the way up to like 150, 200% or something ridiculous, where they stopped trading with each other. And then Donald Trump thought about it. Thought, "Oh my God, what the hell have I done? I've just done a forced decouple with China," and he had to claw back. He had to humiliate. That's why they call him Taco. Trump always chickens out. Humiliated. He lost the trade war. And now he's going back on his word about the tariffs and stuff. And now he's slowly going back and reducing tariffs. And not only that, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Supreme Court asked for these tariffs to be refunded because they were illegal. And guess who got the money back? The big companies like Amazon and Apple and all these big companies that bought Chinese goods with higher tariffs. And they got the money back. But the consumers did not get the money back. The American people did not get a penny back or a cent. Nothing. It's only the big companies that made the money. Now they have increased product costs. They're not going to reduce the product cost. They got the money back. So they've made tons of money, these guys. This is what happens when you brainwash a whole generation of Americans. They are so brainwashed that they just cannot see past their own hands. They are literally being graped economically, and they just can't see it. Then you have their leader who lies and lies and lies every single day. He lies, he cheats, he steals their money because he's made billions in crypto out of his own supporters. He gets them into war, increases the cost of inflation, gas, lies about everything. All the promises he's made, none of it's come true. But these MAGA lot are still treating him like he's some sort of, godly figure. Unbelievable, guys. So here he is saying that I don't know who to deal with in Iran. It's actually one of my biggest problems. Nobody wants to be president in Iran. Well, let me tell you something. Donald Trump is the one that killed the leadership in Iran. If you want to deal with the consequences of your actions, then admit you were wrong. This is the problem. If you go around killing world leaders, expect the consequences. This is what they did with Gaddafi. They killed Gaddafi. And look what happened to Libya. Destroyed the country. They did the same in Iraq. Destroyed the country there. They have a habit of killing world leaders. And this has to stop. And now he's complaining about the consequences. I don't know who to deal with. I don't know who to deal with. Well, stop killing world leaders then. Unbelievable. So, I was listening to Pablo Escobar. Sorry, did I say Pablo Escobar? I meant Pepe Escobar. And he's been saying that Trump offered billions to buy Iran's IRGC to basically backstab the leadership. And they refused. And if you remember, this is exactly the same tactic they used on Maduro. And the funny thing about Maduro, the person who backstabbed Maduro, they promised him millions. But how much money do you think he got? Zero. They completely scammed him, by the way. They promised him millions and he sold out Maduro and they gave him nothing. It's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Basically sold out his country for nothing. But I'll tell you one thing, Venezuela is not Iran. Iran, you cannot buy Iranian IRGC generals with billions of cash. It's more about honor to them than money. People in Iran, they're used to not having money. They've been under heavy sanctions for 50 years. So they have been surviving without money. So suddenly you think you can offer billions to someone and they're going to say, yeah, I'm going to sell my soul for $1 billion. There's a lot of moral people in Iran. Iran is one of the few countries who's actually supporting the Palestinian cause, for example. Rest of the world isn't, apart from Yemen and obviously parts of Lebanon with Hezbollah. But the rest of the world is silent, doing absolutely nothing. This includes all the Gulf countries, all the Muslim countries, doing nothing, guys. It's absolutely hideous. It's hideous to even think about it. 2 billion Muslims, and most of them just sit back and do nothing. I'm not throwing shade at people who are on social media. There are a lot of Muslims on social media and they are doing their bit. They're spreading awareness. Just a post or, just to spread some awareness and spread the news. That's more than enough. But most Muslims are not doing that, guys. It's a real shame. Their own brothers and sisters are being G-sided and most of them are just doing nothing. You read the history books and, you read the Crusades and stuff and how the Muslims rose up using jihad and stuff. They fought back. You don't see that anymore these days. It's a real shame. But things might change soon. Who knows? If America is pushed out of the region from the Middle East and the leadership changes, then maybe that's what's needed. Because look at Iran one day. Iran used to be an American puppet. It used to be one of the biggest American puppets in the region. The Shah of Iran was a major US puppet and an Israeli puppet as well. And the people rose up. People got rid of that leadership. They also did that in Afghanistan as well. So it can happen. People just need to rise up against their corrupt leaders. That's when you have real sovereignty. China did the same with the Cultural Revolution, with the CPC winning over the KMT. So if you want to have real sovereignty, people need to rise up. Sure, there's going to be lots of blood, but isn't the blood worth it for your soul? To have real sovereignty where you are not controlled, where you don't have puppet leaders, where you sell all of your resources. You sell all the oil and gas. In fact, you don't even sell it. The Americans come and take it for free. Look what happened to Venezuela. They're taking the oil for free. Look what's happening to Iraq. They're taking the oil for free. All the oil money goes to an American bank. The Iraqis don't get it. So having sovereignty is the real freedom, guys. That is the real freedom. That is, having that real freedom, having the freedom to have morals, principles. That's real freedom. In America, nobody has real freedom. Everyone's living paycheck to paycheck, so they're having to become like slaves to survive. And they have to toe the rope. They have to become programmed like the government wants them to. This is why you get so many people who are MAGA supporters, and they will support Israel despite whatever evil Israel does. All brainwashed. Anyway, let's move on. So I read this article on X and I kind of agree with it. It says the real goal of Iran is not just about Iranian oil. It's an overall war against Russia, China, BRICS, but mostly China. Because you look at what they're doing, they're trying to obviously destroy Russia with all of these sanctions they've put on Russia, and they're using Ukraine as a proxy to destroy Russia, to split Russia into smaller chunks, like they did with the Soviet Union. Now they're attacking Iran. They've already taken over Venezuela. So all of these countries, they have one thing in common. They're all friends of China, and they trade with China with the Chinese yuan outside of the dollar. They cannot have that. They cannot have China having all that control. And another reason Iran is important, because the Belt and Road goes through Iran, goes into Europe. You also used to go through Russia, but because Russia is obviously having a SMO with Ukraine, the Europeans have blocked all trains going from Russia into Europe. So China has to go through Iran now. So if America takes control of Iran, then China's going to have a lot of trouble, transporting goods from China all the way to Europe. It's going to be very, very difficult. And also, if America controls the Strait of Hormuz, if they take control of Iran, they take control of this over the strait as well. So they can also block, oil ships going into China as well. So they cannot have Iran with all of that sovereignty, all of that freedom. They cannot have it. Iran's got also lots of rare earths and minerals, trillions worth. So it's not just about oil and gas. It's about everything. Iran is the key. That's what they think anyway. But it's not working, because China or Russia are not going to let Iran fall. Same way China did not let Russia fall. Because Russia, with all of these crippling sanctions, should have collapsed. Why didn't it collapse? It's because Russia opened its trade to China, and China provided Russia with everything it needs, all the materials. They bought all of the oil and gas and everything Russia needs, semiconductors, you name it. So all of these sanctions they blocked Russia from having, they can easily get it from China. And China can trade with, Russia can trade with China. China is the largest economy in the world in terms of PPP. Much larger than Europe. So yeah, Russia may have lost the trade with Europe, but they gained a lot of trade with China and the rest of Asia. Because the rest of Asia is still supporting Russia, by the way. The global south supports Russia. We are talking billions of people here. Like India still supports Russia. That's why Russia's not affected. These Western puppets think that they can sanction a country and that country will fall. Well, the world has changed. It's not the same as it was 50 years ago. He also says to destroy BRICS. I'm still not sure about BRICS, guys. I think that for BRICS to survive and thrive, they need to get rid of India. That's my honest opinion. They need to get rid of India and replace India with Iran. That's what they need to do. Then you will see BRICS thriving and going forward. Because India has been a major block for BRICS. They have not been allowing the BRICS currency to develop. India is always vetoing it. So India has been a major block for BRICS, and this is why BRICS has not developed over the last few years. When's the last time you've seen a major news coming out of BRICS? Nothing. It's just standstill at the moment because of India. I think China and Russia should just force India to quit. Obviously, I'm not sure about the BRICS rules. They cannot kick out a country, but I'm sure they can force a country to quit. Anyway, soon as they replace India with Iran, you will see BRICS currencies developing, alternative system to the dollar developing. Because China does not want to become the world reserve currency. They do not want the yen to become the reserve currency. They don't want that responsibility. But the BRICS currency can replace the US dollar. It's just a matter of time. I think once they go forward with it, the dollar is going to be toast. Already the dollar's falling, guys. I don't know if you've seen the markets. The dollar has been falling. The bond yields have been going through the roof. They have been intervening to buy back bonds. So countries that are selling bonds, they are buying back the bonds. And that's going to increase inflation and debt. They just can't win at the moment. So let's look at the rest of this article. So it says here, Iran is a country that connects east, west, north, and south. Do you remember my last video where I showed the map of Iran, where Russia goes through Iran to go to India and global south, vice versa. China goes through Iran to go to Europe and vice versa. Also, if you want to access the Middle East, Russia has to go through Iran. And if India wants to access Europe, they have to go through Iran. So Iran is the key. Iran is the global logistic hub. And America obviously wants a piece of that. And you see the Caspian Sea as well. America has no control over the Caspian Sea apart from Azerbaijan. Every other country in the Caspian Sea is pretty much more friendly towards Russia or Iran. So that is a key region, and the Caspian Sea has been very important because Russia has been transporting goods back and forth with Iran through the Caspian Sea. So again, that is a very important part. Then you have Pakistan as well. China has put a lot of money into Gwadar, and Gwadar is not far from Iran. So if America takes control of Iran, most likely they will take control of Gwadar as well. They will, focus on extremist separatists in the Balochistan region, because Gwadar is in Balochistan, and they will push these extremists to basically force Pakistan to separate from them. And if America is right next door, they will definitely be pushing it. I can tell you that now. The CIA and all of these three-letter agencies will be going into overdrive to separate Pakistan next. That's what they do. They go from country to country, destroy one country to the next. They want Pakistan because Pakistan's got nuclear weapons. And they also want Pakistan because Pakistan is a key for China to go into the Indian Ocean. Because from China, they can go through Pakistan into Gwadar, into the Indian Ocean. So Pakistan is a huge key for them. There are other reasons as well, guys, but those are the main reasons. Anyway, let's move on. So there's talk about Turkey and Israel getting into a major fight. Personally, I don't think it will happen, because I think Turkey and Israel are pretty much the same. They were both involved in taking down Assad in Syria, and they work together. Turkey provides Israel with oil and gas through a pipeline. They could have easily stopped it during the G-side, but they didn't. And Turkey is pretty much controlled by the West, by America, by Trump. So I doubt if anything will happen. The only reason Turkey is an enemy of Israel is because Turkey owns half of Cyprus, and Israel's got its eyes on Cyprus. They want Cyprus next. After what they've done to Palestine, they're going to go for Cyprus and take over the whole island. That's what the Israelis want. Already, millions of Israelis are moving into Cyprus. This is hidden away from the news. Not many people are covering it. But they're buying up huge amounts of land, they're buying up huge amounts of properties, and they're all moving there. It's much safer for them. But they want the parts controlled by Turkey. Turkey controls northern Cyprus, so they want that. And also Turkey is a protector of Syria as well. A lot of the people who got rid of Assad, like these Al-Jalani gang, they're mostly supported by Turkey. So this is the reason why. But to be honest, I don't think Turkey can do anything. And they are part of NATO, and I don't think NATO will do anything to protect Turkey, even if it happens. Because end of the day, who controls NATO? It's the United States and the United States military-industrial complex. The Americans will definitely not be involved. Think about this for a second. If Israel attacks Turkey and Turkey invokes Article 5, do you think Trump is going to start a war against Israel? Impossible. Impossible. And look at the NATO guy, the leader of NATO. He's an absolute puppet of America. He calls him daddy. Do you think he's going to, basically agree to Article 5? No, of course not. None of the NATO countries will get involved to fight Israel because they're all under the thumb of Israel. Every single European country, including Britain, is controlled by Israel. So Turkey has no friends in the region, unless they make. I know they've made like some sort of pact with Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, but that's not really a pact, guys. I mean, look, let's be honest here. Saudi Arabia is a puppet of America, and so is Pakistan. The leadership of Pakistan are absolute puppets. When Israel or America are involved, they're not going to do anything. Do you think Saudi Arabia is going to start a war against Israel and America? I don't think so. All these organizations, military pacts, they're all just a sham. The only real military pact, the only real one that can actually protect you, is if there was a future pact between Iran, Russia, and China. And North Korea as well. If there was a future pact between these four countries, they can be the global police. Nobody will mess with them. It might happen in the future, who knows? That is a real military pact. Because first of all these four countries are truly sovereign. They're not controlled by America or Israel. Secondly, they all have big economies, big countries, huge amounts of population. And apart from North Korea, it doesn't have a huge population, but they have a huge arsenal of nuclear weapons. And all these countries will have nuclear weapons, and I'm sure that Iran will one day have it as well. They're the ones that will really protect you. If you want to do a military pact, that is the pact you want to join with. Obviously, it doesn't exist yet, but I'm pretty sure it will one day. I think it will exist when Iran truly wins this war with the United States and Israel. Because this war is not finished, by the way. It can restart at any moment. But when America truly is defeated, its economic collapses, that's when it will end. And it moves all of its military bases away from the region. All of it. There are still some there. I mean, despite what they tell you in the news, there are still American military bases in these Gulf countries. And these American soldiers working in these Gulf countries, they're not working in bases anymore. They're working from hotels. So you have CENTCOM and all these other agencies working from hotels provided by the Gulf. They're using Arabs as human shields. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about this woman, Harp. This is Trump's girlfriend we're talking about. And I want to show you this picture here. And you can see Trump in his golf cart. And look who's running at the back. It's so funny. She's literally running after Trump in her jogging uniform while Trump is driving in his golf cart. I mean, this is like a crazy woman here. You know, the ones that will chase after you and they will literally destroy your life. This is the kind of woman who's so obsessed with Trump. She'll literally run after him. This is such a funny image, guys. But what's more alarming is the love letters that she's sending him. These love letters, she's saying to Trump that things like, you know, how much she adores him and she'll do anything for him. She says she only exists to make him happy. All of these like cringy stuff, guys. Really cringy stuff. A real love letter. And the funny thing is, do you remember when Trump escaped Air Force One in the food cart and he went to a different plane? The only two people he took with him was her, his girlfriend, and Hegseth. Those are the only two people he took with him. Everyone else stayed on the flight to be sacrificed. It was hilarious. Now you know who the two people that Trump truly cares for, who he finds important or he trusts. Obviously, Melania's not happy. There's lots of images of them trying, you know, she's nowhere to be seen, first of all. Secondly, there was an image of Trump trying to hold her hand and she's just moving her hand away. She obviously can't stand him anymore. Trump is having an open affair in front of the world. This is hilarious, guys. Absolutely hilarious. Anyway, I'll end it there. Take care for now, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.